Ay, sorry.
Hello.
Ay, Carlo.
Hello.
Hey guys.
So,
What's up, Carlo?
What's up? Okay pa naman dito sa beach. Saya.
Sila Ben tsaka sila Chris ba? Meron ba silang Rachel doon?
Meron silang si Anna yung project manager.
Yeah.
Pero I don't know if should we still be going through her for these requests? Baka magulo eh.
Yeah. Pero kasi ang katulad niyan, hindi ako na-reply ni Ben sa GC, so hindi ko alam kung on leave ba siya, ano nangyayari.
Pwede ka rin magpatulong kay Marco. Sa kanya ako pag medyo matagal sila mag-reply.
Sige, thanks.
I will be back. Rachel is joining us, right?
Baka daw hindi kasi nasa meeting sila ng curation
Oo nga pala.
sa MMI. Yeah.
So, dapat mag-start na tayo.
Yes, sabi niya pa-record na lang.
Oh, okay. Sige. Oh, naka-record na pala tayo. Okay. I figured for today, since last time we talked about the basics of network analysis, and then I also showed you yung nagagawa natin sa Crowdtangle. No, not Crowdtangle. Sketch Engine. I figured today I would show you how we use Gephi, which is one of our primary network analysis tools, to visualize a network and then also to compute the statistics that we use. Although, as I mentioned last time, actually a lot of this can be automated by Tim and Sean. It's just that I think you need to have that base understanding of these things. So I'll show you that. And then I'll also show you how to use Crowdtangle, which we can use for gathering stuff from Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter. Sige. So this is Gephi. This is what we use for network analysis. So if you recall last time, wait, maybe not this one. Wait. Maybe I'll just open one I already have here. So ito, Lenny Network. So normally, what you would do is you would get yung edge list from Tim or whoever, right? And then your edge list would look like something like this. You have your first column, which is the source. And then you have your second column, which is the target. And then what this means is that these things have a relationship with one another. You might have noticed na these are not people. These are actually words and phrases, mga keywords. But it's exactly the same thing. So whether I show you a semantic network, which is a network of concepts, so that's words and phrases, or an actor network, which would be a network of people. So yung makikita nyo dito would be the names of people or Twitter handles. You follow the exact same steps actually in the software. So I'll start first with this network that I already gathered. There are different file formats that you can open. But if you start with an edge list, what you need to do is go into data laboratory and then imagine na wala pang laman to. And then you'll import a spreadsheet. And then this is how you... May edge list dito. This is how you import the network onto Gephi. Actually, maybe I should show you that. Let's look for an edge list. Wait lang. Not that. Okay. This is not just an edge list actually, kasi as you can see, ang dami niyang columns with all kinds of data. But really, what you need lang is yung name, yung author and target. So that would usually look like, this came from Tim. So actually, marami siyang data points na provide. But usually it would just be something like this. You have your author and your target. So let's say you start with this file. You can just import the spreadsheet here. Saan ba yun? Wait. Lagay natin sa documents. Parang naghang siya. Wait, parang naghang siya. Ugh. Wait, i-reopen ko na lang. Nag-crash siya. Oh, hindi na pala. Ito. Sige, try natin to. Ayun, so as you can see here, you can import it this way, and then dahil CSV siya, your separator should be a comma. Pwede rin siyang tab separated, so it depends on your file format. And then just let it import everything. Wow, and sobrang daming nodes. So this one has 104,922 people in it. So medyo massive data set to, which might make it a bit slow. Let's give it a bit of time. Ayun. So it loaded your edge list. It already populated your tawag dito, your node list, which are the list of all of the nodes. My suggestion here is if you see na walang laman yung label, you should already copy. Sometimes kasi yung ID is also the label that you want here. So what I do is I copy from ID to label, just so that when I open it here in the visualization, makikita mo yung names. Medyo massive network to, so I'll just skip this part. I just showed you how to import an edge list. Pero for the demonstration, dito na lang tayo sa mas maliit. Ayan, this one. So just close this. Ayan, so dito tayo. Usually the first thing that I do is to display the labels so that you know who these people are. So you just need to click on this little arrow here. And then you have this checkbox that you can use to show the label. So just check that. Ayan, lumabas na yung names nila. You can use whatever font style you want, but usually I do like regular, and then I'll set this to like 40 or something like that. I think that's a reasonable size. So that's the first thing that I do usually. Okay. And then the second thing that I do, parang nagahang siya. The second thing I do would be to calculate network diameter. So if you recall, last time we talked about things like betweenness centrality. This is where you get that. So those metrics would come from network diameter. So if you click on this run here, gagawin na niya automatically. Usually we leave this at directed and then click OK. And then it already did your calculations. This is just a distribution, but you don't really need to pay attention to this. If you look here in the data laboratory, you'll find that it already populated the table with these metrics. So you have betweenness centrality, closeness centrality. These are probably the two ones that we care about the most. So you can sort it that way. Lenny Robredo yung highest. Yeah, Lenny Robredo. Oftentimes the different metrics will correlate. So ayan siya. So those are your centrality metrics. But we also calculate degree. So degree, if you recall, is the number of interactions of the actor. For example, the number of times that you tweeted someone. So to do that, you just need to calculate this average degree here. So you just click on run. And then, ayun na siya. If you click on the data laboratory, you'll already see na may na siyang in degree, out degree, and degree. Okay. And again, this is the number of interactions. So this is very important. And then I also calculate modularity class. So what modularity class is, it's an algorithm that it's basically a clustering algorithm. And what it will do is that it will assign each node to a certain group or cluster. I think in the literature, sometimes they're also called communities. So communities, clusters, groups, those are basically the same thing. And then it will group you together the more frequently you interact with people in the same group. So that's sort of how it works. So to do that, you need to run modularity. So just click on run. Usually I don't change this, but you can play around with the resolution to get more or less groups. And the reason you would do that is kung sobrang daming groups, it's a bit hard to make sense of it already. Kung sobrang konti naman, then that might not be granular or detailed enough. So you could first try with a default resolution of 1. And then it gave me 16 groups, which I think is manageable. But just to demonstrate, if you wanted more groups, you could go less than 1. So let's say 0.6. Nag-add lang siya ng isa. So it didn't really do much. But that's how you would decrease the number of groups. If you want to get more, you'll increase. No, sorry. If you want to get less, you'll increase this number. So let's say 2. 15. It didn't really do much also kasi that's the nature of the network. So it really depends. So then that's the next thing that you do. And then we also always calculate hits and page rank. I'll define each. Hits is, I already discussed this last time, but it's a recursive algorithm that gives you 2 scores. So the first score would be your hub score. So what this means is that the higher your hub score, the more frequently you interact with authorities, meaning people with high authority score. So it's recursive. Authority, the higher your authority score, the more frequently people with high hub score interact with you. So ganun yung relationship niya. And then what this tells you, analytically would be, if you're an authority, you could consider yourself to be perhaps a hub of information. or at least someone that people consider important, such that they tweet or mention or interact with you a lot, right? So usually the more mentions you'll have, the higher your authority score will be. Yung hub naman, yun nga, as I said, the higher your hub score, the more frequently you interact with people with high authority score. So that's basically it. So we always calculate that as well because as you'll see in the sample social listening report, I have a slide there that's called top authorities. This is how you get the top authorities. You need to run the hits algorithm. Okay. And then we also run page rank. So page rank, if you recall again from the last meeting, this is a variation of eigenvector centrality. And what it does is it's a measure of influence. So the more other influential people interact with you, the higher your page rank will be. So page rank is what Google uses, and it's also what we use to calculate the metric that we call influence. So if you run that, you'll see here and automatically it will already insert the column here. And if you sort it, as you will see, a lot of these metrics are correlated. So laging si Comelec or si Lenny Robredo usually yung pinakamataas. The keyword I used here, just so you know, is Lenny. Okay, so those are the metrics that we usually compute. And then to organize this so that it's easy to analyze, you need to do some layout work. So the first thing that I do is to color each of these nodes according to the cluster or the community that they belong to, right? And we did that by using modularity. So the way that you would color them is you go here into this appearance box on the top left, and then you click on this color palette button, right? And then you have some options here. But if you want to go for partition, or sorry, for modularity, you need to go to partition. Partition would be any variable associated with the node that is not, usually it's not numerical. So it's not a ranking, it's not anything you could rank. So that's why usually it could be a label like gender. It could also be the group or modularity class number. So what I do here is, I select the modularity class. And then as you can see here, it automatically assigns colors to each, not to all. So sometimes I have to do this just so all of them will be colored. But oftentimes you'll also see na yung ibang community sobrang liit na, such that we probably don't care about them. So I just leave it alone at gray. Then if you apply that, you'll see na nagbago na yung colors, right? Ng mga nodes as well as their edges. The next thing I do is to resize the nodes according to the metrics that we've already calculated. So for the report, I guess it only makes sense na you choose the metrics that are used in the report. So for example, page rank, we could use that. Usually have a small minimum size, for example, 10, and then a high maximum size. So what this will do is the person who has the highest page rank, their node size will be 350. And then the person that has the lowest page rank will have a node size of 10. So if you have these settings and then you apply it, ayan, nag-resize na sila. You can play around with the scaling here. Like kung gusto mong ganyan yung ano niya, yung scaling, pwede rin ganyan. So that would make it a bit more severe yung differences. Actually, no. I mean, it wasn't that severe. Maybe let's just go back to this. Yeah. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do is to change the size of the label so that it's also matching the size of the node. It just makes it easier for you to analyze. So click on this rightmost box, go to ranking, and then just choose the same metric that you used. Normally, I also have a very small minimum size. and then a relatively large maximum size. So you can play around this with as well, but if you use these settings and you click apply, ayan, it will look like that. So Comelec, Lenny Robredo, kitang-kita na sila. But medyo magulo pa to. You can't really make sense of this, right? All of them are overlapping and all of that. So the neatest way to do it that I've found would be to use some layout algorithms that are also built into Gephi. The one that I like to use is called Circle Pack Layout. It might not be built directly into Gephi. So if you need to download this and install it as a plugin, you just need to go to Tools and then Plugins. And then you can already search here for the plugin you want to install. So halimbawa, Circle Pack. Or baka built-in na siya? Actually, baka built-in na siya. But anyway, there are a lot of plugins that you can download. Okay, so I chose Circle Pack Layout, and then there are a bunch of variables that you can input here that will inform how the algorithm lays out the graph. So the first thing is to select modularity, because that's like the most important attribute, right? Because we want all of the pink nodes to be together, and we want all of the green nodes to be together, etc. So that's the first one I select. And then these ones that follow, usually I like to choose one of the metrics that we use. So halimbawa here, we use page rank, so I'll select that. Then you can also put others here if you want to, pero optional lang yan. And if you run it, ayan na siya. So it already parang group together the nodes that frequently interact with one another. And then this is already quite easy to analyze if that's your task, right? But to make it a bit neater also, and because in some of the slides, we actually put in the visualization, there are a couple more things that you can do to make it look nicer. So one thing you could do after you've done the circle pack would be expansion. So what this does is it will simply spread out the nodes. So ano ba, i-run natin once. Yan, run natin twice. Yan, so nag-spread out lang siya. And then you could also do something like no overlap. So in case a lot of your circles overlap, you can use no overlap, and then it will, separate them para hindi nag-overlap yung circles. And then another thing that I always do is label adjust. Kasi oftentimes, pag madaming nodes, their labels will overlap. So there is an algorithm here called label adjust that you can also run. And then it will adjust the nodes para hindi nag-overlap yung labels nila. And then that's it. So I think this is already a usable tawag dito, network map or visualization. And then if you need to export it, you just need to go here to preview. And then if you immediately click refresh, it will already generate this. Pero obviously incomplete yung details niya, like wala yung labels, diba? So you need to make sure that the right settings are selected. So show labels. If you refresh on that, medyo mali yung scaling niya, diba? So what I usually do is I unclick proportional size, and then here in font size, I select a very small value like 3. And the reason I do that is I found that gives you the best sizes usually, since over here I already set it to 36. So medyo malaki na siya. It's close enough to what we're looking at here. Okay, hindi na natin nakita yung labels kasi nasa likod sila ng nodes. So I don't know why that happens sometimes, but if that happens, go to manage renderers and make sure that default node labels is on top. Ganyan. And then if you refresh it again, sobrang late ng names na. So let's tweak it again. Okay. It shouldn't be small. It should be the same value that I selected there. So I'm going to put 36. Ayun. Okay. Better. So, ayun na siya. If you want to see arrows, it should not be curved. So, diba the arrows show the direction of the relationship or the interaction. So if you want to see the arrows, just unselect curved and then refresh it. and nakita nyo na yung arrows. And then you can do things like play around with the weights of the size and thickness of these lines. So for example, here we can make this 5. Hindi siya nagbabago. Whatever. Anyway, you can play around with these things. Sometimes medyo you have to fight the app. It's free and open source, kaya medyo sometimes it works a bit weird. So ayan na siya. And that's ready for export. So what I do is click down here for export. I usually select PNG and then transparent background. And then I put in 8K resolution, which is, ano bang 8K resolution? 8K resolution. 7680 by 4320. And then you want to do that because there's a possibility that you want to zoom in. If you have a very dense network, you might want to zoom in very closely. Kaya kailangan mataas yung resolution niya. And then let's say Lenny test. And then it already would have saved the file there. You can also put a transparent background kung PNG. Ganyan. And then nagagamit mo na yung file na yan in the report. And then yun, medyo madami ng insights na makukuha dito. So Lenny Robredo interacts with these. You will be able to look at exactly what this cluster is talking about. Same with any of the others. Di ko kilala tong share na to. Comelec. Yan, those are the nodes that they interact with. Pinoy Ako blog, Yak, etc. So, yan, madami ka nang makikitang useful stuff there. Okay, a couple other things about Gephi. If you load a very large network, sometimes you will need to do some filtering. Or if you want to isolate, let's say, a specific community or a specific ego network. So if you recall, an ego network is the network of just one person, right? So from here, we could choose just one person and then isolate their ego network. So I'll demonstrate how you might do some filtering now. So of course, I'll do all of the same stuff I did earlier. Para lang mas maganda yung graph natin. So usually it doesn't take long at all. Like 1 second lang may results na. 37 communities. That seems a bit big to me, pero let's just go ahead with that. Ayun, no? So yung iba sobrang liit na lang eh. So kahit naka-gray na lang sila, okay lang siguro. Okay. Yan yung no overlap. So nakita nyo nag-spread out yung nodes. Label adjust. Also adjusted it so that the labels should be more or less not overlapping. Ayan. Okay. So let's say you just wanted to look at this green community. So the way you would do that would be through filters. So just click on filter here. And then if you want to just look at the green community, you need to go to attributes And then partition. So again, partition is like, it's some kind of annotation or some kind of characteristic or quality of the nodes. So in our case, we want to look at modularity. So just drag this here. And then if you click on filter, obviously it filters them all kasi wala pang sinelect dito sa bottom right. But let's say I just want to look at this green one. I can see that the green one is ito 0, modularity class 0. So you just look for it here in this list and then click, make sure it's checked and then press filter. And then ayan. So we're just looking at the green one. And then if you needed to export this, you could. So same thing. Yan yung kay Elon Musk. And then if you notice, ang daming nakaturo lang kay Elon Musk. So this is what we meant by, it's not really a dense network. So medyo mababa yung clustering coefficient kasi a lot of times it's only directed at one person. That said, parang madami din naman mga interactions dito sa loob. But yeah, as you can see here, a lot of it is directed towards Elon Musk. So that's one way that you could filter to a specific community. Another thing you could filter is for the ego network. So let's just delete this here. So let's say we also want to look at Tesla's ego network, meaning ang ipapakita lang sa graph would be everyone who has interacted with Tesla, right? Directly interacted with Tesla. So the way you would do that is to go to topology. Please give me a minute, may tumatawag kasi. Okay. Ayun, so let's say we just want to look at Tesla's ego network. Oh my gosh, naghang siya. Can you still hear me? Yung naghang din ba yung Zoom?
Yep, I can hear you.
Same with me.
Okay, sige. I-restart ko na lang to. Di ko alam kung ba't lagi siya nag-crash ngayon. Okay. And gumana na siya ulit. So let's say you just want to isolate the ego network. Still in filters, go to topology. And then you'll see here ego network. Just drag it there. And then you just want to input the node ID. So Tesla, di ba? So okay. You can also select depth, pero really, if you're talking about an ego network, the depth really should be 1. And then just click filter. So these are all of the people that interacted with Tesla. So medyo malaki actually yung ego network niya. If you wanted to do some additional filtering para mas malinis siya pagdating sa slide, you could do something like this. Let's say degree range. Pwede mo siyang i-drag dito. And then what this means is you can set a range of values na sila lang yung lalabas dito. So let's say we could set a minimum degree, meaning the minimum number of interactions of this actor. So we can set it at, let's say, 5. Medyo madami pa rin sila. Let's set it at 20. Yan, so mas kumonte na. This is a lot more manageable, I feel, for the slide. And then if you go here to preview, yan, ganun lang siya ulit. And this is how I created this slide over here. Let me show you.
Hi, Carlo. May question lang ako.
Yep.
Regarding dun sa ego network, may pinakita kang depth kanina. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng depth? Like, ano siya, by one person? Yung...
Yeah, parang like one step. And then if you put depth to 2, yung second step, meaning yung naka-interact nung nag-interact sa'yo.
Nag-interact,
But you know, parang for me, that sort of goes against the definition of an ego network. So I usually
Parang
just leave
ina-expand
that at
na niya
1. Yeah,
yung
ina-expand niya.
subgraph.
Yeah.
Okay, sige. Thank you.
So ayun siya. And then in the slide, one use of it would be for this one. This is an ego network. So I saw kasi na si Hallmark's catalog yung top authority. So remember, galing to sa hits, di ba? And then may authority score. I wanted to see the ego network of the highest authority. So I did the exact same steps that we did here. And then I exported it as a transparent PNG, 8K resolution, and then I just pasted it here. And then yung ano naman, yung filtering by cluster, the use of that would be here. So this is just one of those clusters. So kanina, yung kay Elon Musk, you could put it here. Right? So that's why filtering is also important. And then obviously, all of those calculations are important, yung pinakita ko kanina, because all of these metrics are dependent on those statistics na kinalculate natin sa Gephi. So for example, itong active, I'll save this one for tomorrow. Itong the specific calculation for these metrics. I'll save this for tomorrow para lang hindi overwhelming. But basically, what you have to realize is that all of these are based on these metrics here. Kaya important sila. But I'll discuss that tomorrow. Ayun, so that is Gephi. You will probably need to review the video a couple times and also try it out yourselves. But really, it's not that hard to use, especially if you've already sort of grasped yung mga basics of network analysis. I guess before I show you Crowdtangle, which is next on the agenda, questions, comments?
Carlo, so yung nasa slides mo na mismo, nilagyan mo lang nung picture.
Yeah, nilagyan ko sa ng picture para mas maganda.
Oh, okay.
So, ano lang siya. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the feature in PowerPoint na you can crop to shape. So,
yeah.
you can crop to a circle. Tapos ilalagay mo lang siya dyan.
Pero ito, di ba, ay Twitter accounts mismo?
Yeah, Twitter
Okay.
accounts. And then this is the Twitter accounts. This one is an example of a semantic network na hindi tao to, concepts, pero exact same thing. Like, exact same steps, really, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, para clarify ko lang. So, yung use for the clusters is to just, isolate what that cluster shows. Tapos yung sa ego network, all interactions about whatever it is you're looking at. Ganun.
You're right on the clusters. So it's if you see a notable cluster and you sort of want to zoom in on them, that's when
Yeah.
you would use the filter by cluster. So for example, ito's one of the bigger ones eh. So okay, sinama ko siya sa slides and I used yung filter by cluster. Yung ego network, yung value niya talaga is to show the connections to one actor. So,
Okay.
for example here, I saw na whole Mars vlog yung highest na authority on the basis of this metric over here, authority score. And then, because siya yung highest scoring dito, siya yung ego network niya yung ginamit ko. And oftentimes, this will be a very long tail distribution. Eh. Dito medyo flat pa nga siya eh. Pero oftentimes, this is a very power law distribution. Kaya it makes sense to use ego networks here. Kasi usually yung pinakamataas, malayo talaga yung agwat niya from the others.
Okay. So we also only use the ego network filter just to see yung kay Mars blog. No?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Also, Tim, do you have another question? But you still have the hand raised emoji.
Dol, sorry. Di ako marunong gumamit ng Zoom. Ganun pala yun. Sorry. Okay. Thank you for letting me know.
So you weren't actually raising your hand?
I was earlier yung dun sa may depth question ko. Pero
Oh.
nalimutan ko ibaba yung hand ko. So,
Okay.
ganun pala yun. Okay. Thank you.
Sure, sige. Thanks, din, Carla.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, sige. So I guess we can move on. And then again, we don't actually show these there, diba, in the report. Like we don't actually show closeness or we don't actually show page rank, but we derive the metrics that we do show from those statistics. So tomorrow morning, I'll show you how to calculate the metrics that we actually represent here, such as activity and interest and influence. So save na lang natin yan for tomorrow. And if there are no questions, I will go to Crowdtangle. I think I sent everyone invitations already here. But if I haven't yet, just give me the email that's associated with your Facebook account. This is a Facebook product kasi, so you need to authorize it or authenticate it using your Facebook email. Okay, so this has a few things that are pretty useful. Although yun nga, we might not be able to use this indefinitely. Wait, please give me several minutes. Mag-break na rin siguro muna tayo. May lalamove kasi ako sa baba. Wait lang.
Mukhang recreational yung lalamove ni Carla.
Kita ko nagsha-shopping siya ng guitar stuff eh. New hobby ata.
Baka bumabalik.
Yes naman. Going back to to roots ganun. Budol.
Musta naman kayo, guys?
Antok.
Malamig ba sa inyo? Sa amin parang init eh. Parang sumingaw yung lupa or something. Ang humid tuloy ngayon.
Ano mo,
Lumamig
malamig.
kasi umulan.
Tsaka maraming puno sa area namin.
Wow, swerte. Puro semento dito eh.
Asyendero yan si ano eh, si Isaiah.
Ah, kaya pala. Sundero ka pala.
Kaya,
Tingin naman ang lupa.
oo.
Sorry na, Meg.
Eh, siya, saan ka naka-reside? Sa QC ka rin ba? Parang third time ko na tinanong sa'yo to.
Hindi.
Nalimutan ko.
I live sa Fairview. Malapit sa Echo Park, actually.
Ah, kaya puro puno. Ito ba yung malapit
Yeah.
din sa Lamesa Dam?
Yeah.
May
Kamusta
asyendero.
naman dyan? Presko?
Yeah, actually. Pero marami na nag-move in sa area, so nawawala na po unti-unti yung puno, which is sad.
No.
Moving na rin ako dyan.
I think sarap pa din though Echo Park. Di ako sure. Kasi doon ako nagtitrain before.
Train?
Yeah.
Like, train? As in, choo-choo?
Yeah. No, training. Like sports.
Anong sports mo doon dati?
Swimming.
Ah, nice.
Competitive, yeah. Pero nagsala-sala during the pandemic. And well, ngayon, I train na lang din for myself before.
Balita ko parang merong mountain bike trail dyan eh. Sa
Yeah.
Echo Park.
Pero hindi na, well, yeah. Pero kasi may parts na hindi mo pwede ma-access by foot, so hindi ko siya nakita fully.
Ah, so nilakad, mahaba yun 40 kilometers daw yun or 60.
Yeah.
Patak.
Doon nagtitraining yung Doon nagtitraining yung rowing
Philippine
team
team.
ng Ateneo. That's a dam.
Ah.
Yeah.
Gusto ko rin matry yun eh. Parang goals ko yan someday. Makabike
Rowing?
din sa Echo Park.
Yeah, go lang. Actually, well, medyo scam yung ibang fees doon. Pero wala ka magagawa kasi dumadaan siya through a village.
Anong scammy?
Kasi yung village na madadaanan mo before you get to Echo Park, nag-charge
ganun?
sila ng right-of-way fee. Kasi private road, technically.
Hindi siya bayad ng tax natin.
Yung nag-maintain ng road yun sa asosasyon doon. And humihingi sila parang 50 to get it.
So may
Tapos-
village before mo ma-reach yung Echo Park.
Yeah. Tapos
Sad.
may 100 peso na entrance fee ka. I think may discount ka if QC resident ka. Then, yung ibang facilities doon, may 50 pesos pa na entrance fee. May paintball place doon though, kung gusto mo target practice.
Free ba yun?
Hindi.
Mahal kasi
150.
ng paintball eh.
Yeah, 150 per round.
Ilan yung bullets per round?
I think 20 to 30 ata. Isang beses ko lang siya tinay kasi maaga natapos training ko dati.
Lubong lugaw. Tanda ko pa nag-try ako mag-paintball dati. Pucha, ilang shot lang ako. Wala na. Naubos pera ko agad.
Mahal.
Na-try mo na ba mag-airsoft?
Hindi ako personally. Pero cousin ko, yeah, hilig siya doon. Sabi daw niya, sakit eh. Pinakita niya sa akin yung pictures ng
Yun nga
impact
daw
shots.
yung complaint. Masakit daw. Bakit? Paintball din ba yun? Yung airsoft? Or something else?
Airsoft, alam ko parang rubber ng bullets. Pero compressed air kasi siya eh. Na nag-a-act.
Pneumatic.
Yeah. So masakit. Yung sa paintballs naman, yung splash damage yung masakit doon eh.
Makes sense.
Okay, thanks for waiting. Is everyone still here?
Yep, present, present.
Ay, medyo nabudol tayo.
Anong budol yan, Carlo?
Mga guitar stuff. Gitara yung obsession ko lately.
Yes naman.
Yeah. Okay. Back to Crowdtangle. So Crowdtangle is basically a listening tool. It can do Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and Twitter. Rachel requested lang na I show you, some specific things that you need to do if you use Crowdtangle. So there are a few features here. Wait. Yeah, so when you first log in, usually you will be taken to this page. And it's a page of lists. What a list means is it's a set of Facebook groups, public groups, verified pages or profiles, and anong isa pa? Verified profiles, public groups, and pages, I think. So yeah, verified profiles, public groups, and pages. And then, as you can see here, yung mga sinishare ko yesterday na with the curation team, these were already existing lists that you can just search for here. So for example, there was already an existing list for NGOs in the Philippines with these NGOs. Tapos meron din Philippine celebrities with these celebrities. So these are lists. And then if you wanted to, you can check any one of them out and see what they're tweeting about. May timeline sila dito, date range, follower count, etc. Dito sa posts, there are a few filters here. Overperforming. I forgot the definition of this. Pero I think the more a post exceeds the usual kind of engagement that the page or group or profile gets, then it will have a higher overperforming score. Pero pwede rin naman total interactions or most recent. Pwede rin ganun yung pag-sort nyo. Ayan. So this is the first thing you'll see, yung lists. And then you can also create your own lists if you wanted to. Like ito, create list, and then you can populate it with pages or groups or whatever you want. Ayun. So that's the first thing you'll see. And then the other feature that's useful here, obviously here you can see stuff you've saved. The other thing that's useful here would be search. So if you click on search, this is how I got the corpora for Facebook and Reddit. So this is one good source of that. You just need to enter a search term. So the queries that we've been using would work here. For Facebook, if you want to look at all of three, kailangan nyo lang i-check dito. And then, let's say, ano bang pwede ngayon? Elections. Lenny, let's try Lenny. In the past 3 days, 125,795 posts on Facebook with 23 million interactions. That's a lot. Gives us hope. Anyway, that's how you get that. And then you can download it here. So if you export a CSV, you can put a limit for the rows here. So 10,000. I think Excel only handles up to 500,000. Tapos medyo mahirapan na siya. But anyway, the max that this can give you is 300,000 rows. So you just export that, and then it would be sent to your email that you use to authenticate this. Wala pa siya. So antayin na lang natin. Ayun, and then you obviously date range, post type. You can search for a specific page or group, language, meme search, hindi ko pa na-try. If they belong to a particular list, you could put it here. So ayun, there are a few things, a few filters that you could use. Wala pa ba? Wala pa. Sometimes it takes several minutes. This is a lot, so maybe that's why it's taking a bit of time. But in any case, you can also do the same thing for Reddit. $280 posts.
Carlo,
Yep.
question lang. Walang other way para makuha yung downloaded file other than yung pag-send sa email?
Parang wala eh.
Oh,
From what I've
okay.
seen, wala. Yeah.
Kasi nakalimutan ko na yung password ko sa Facebook email. So, might be a problem
Well,
for me.
I guess you could just make another account.
Yeah. Oo nga. Yeah.
Ayun, so there's the CSV. So minsan it will open it, tapos mukha siyang basura. So you could do, you could import it again, or for me it's a bit quicker if you go to data and then import data from a CSV. So just select the same CSV here, and then if you import it, medyo maganda na yung itsura niya. Ayan. So ayan, ready to go na to. And then you'll see obviously the page name and their information. You will see the post itself. You'll get a link to the post, and you'll get all of these interaction numbers. So this is really, really useful. Itong mga to. Ayun. So that's how you use Facebook. That's how you use Crowdtangle. And then yung Reddit, ganun din naman. There's actually no difference. It's basically the same process. I would not use this for Twitter because it uses the free API and therefore it can only give you the past 7 days. You could use it for Instagram. But we haven't really done that yet kasi hindi pa siya kasama sa report natin. But you could also do it, and then ayan. Medyo madaming not Lenny Robredo related. So I guess you need to fix your keywords pag ganun. Ayun, so that's search and lists, and then let's see what else we have here. Ano nga to? Ito yata yung lists eh. Yeah. Let's see what this is. Account performance over time. I've never actually used this. Gusto ko lang silipin. Oh. Siguro mag-experiment na lang kayo dito if you find a need for it. Pero hindi ko muna siya, I won't look into it first. And then you can even create a live display. So what a live display is it allows you to parang constantly track either a search or a list. So for example lang, yung mga existing na, ito, climate change. It's like a live feed almost across the different social media platforms. And then automatic siya nag-update. Ayan. Biglang may laman siya. So this could also be very useful for monitoring. Ayun, those are the features of Crowdtangle. Any questions?
Ay, Carlo, yung question ko lang is dun sa subscription. So, may subscription ba itong Crowdtangle?
Um, if you're a Facebook media partner, like we have some partner agencies, for example, then you pay for a subscription. Journalists are also allowed to access it, I think, for free. And then if you're an academic, you can also access it for free. So same as what we did with Twitter, I registered an academic account.
Okay. Okay,
So
sige.
if for any reason this will no longer be accessible, you'll need to provide some academic credentials, either of yourselves or someone you know.
Okay,
If
sige.
you want to
Thank
get
you.
more access. I'm sure may kakilala naman kayo na nagtuturo or whatever. Yeah. But if not, this is still usable. As long as I invite you to the group, then you should be able to. Oh, so andito na pala si Meg. Andito si Rachel, si Sean, si Tim, si Chuy. So I'll just give Isaiah and Soph access to this as well.
Yeah, Carla, I still have to make a dummy account. Wala akong
Okay.
Facebook.
All right. Yeah.
Pasahan nyo na lang may.
Yeah, just make a dummy account now.
Same with Meg. I'll make a new account.
All right.
Ah,
Ayun.
Carlo,
Yep.
I think kailangan ba yung Facebook as in email na ginagamit mo pang login sa Facebook?
You know, maybe hindi pala kailangan. Kasi just looking at this here, you use your M2Coms email.
Pero
So,
can I open kasi parang never ko pa siyang na-open yung etong Crowdtangle
I'm
na
not sure.
invite mo.
I'm not sure. You'll have to try.
Sige.
And then let me know na
Okay.
lang siguro. Ayun, medyo straightforward lang naman siya. Any other questions?
Carlo?
Yep.
Nalagin kasi ako dun sa Crowdtangle and kailangan mo talaga ng Facebook account para mag-login.
Okay.
And then, yan, nakikita ko dito sila, no. Yung iba hindi ko kilala, si City Karagay.
Siya yung friend ko na prof sa UP. Kaya natin nakuha to.
Alright, just meron pa si Ian Aragoza.
I think ano siya, he's probably a researcher who just requested access kasi he probably saw some of our public lists like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pending, ano pa siya, pending request. So,
Yeah, hindi ko naman siya tinanggap.
okay.
Yeah.
Carlo, may question pala ako. Regarding dun sa limited yung sa Twitter, pero sa Reddit and Facebook pa, hindi siya limited.
Mukhang hindi naman.
Even by date then, like pwede tayo tumingin for the past year.
It looks like it from what I've seen. Kasi pwede kang mag-last 12 months, pero pwede ka rin mag-custom.
Okay. Past year, wow. Okay.
So for Facebook, it's basically everything we need. It's just that Doi is concerned na either isa-shut down to at some point or they'll start asking people to pay. So yun yung worry niya dito. Pero kung sa Facebook lang, you can get everything here.
So academic access, free siya, no need to pay.
Yes, academic access is free.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Kaya yung suggestion ko, let's use this for as long as we can.
I was wondering kung Reddit is a Facebook company pero hindi pala kasi they're about to release their IPO. So in that case, kung kayang i-scrape ni Crowdtangle sa Reddit, meron din ata tayong way. Possible. May API ata sila.
Reddit is actually pretty easy to scrape. Kasi all subreddits actually provide an RSS feed. So makuha mo na doon if you want the posts. Pero I'm not sure if that will show you the interactions.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so kung wala on Crowdtangle, my suggestion would be probably not today because we're all tired. But maybe sometime this week, install Gephi. Just have a play around with what you can do. Maybe try making some visualizations for yourselves. I'm sure Tim and Sean can supply some data naman if that you need. Just so you get some practice.
Question pala sa Gephi, Carlo. Nakalimutan ko kanina.
Yeah.
May nasubukan na bang ibang layout or clustering algorithm?
Yung pinaka-common would be the force-directed ones, which parang it uses parang gravity.
Yeah.
So,
Ayoko niya Force Atlas eh.
Kaya
Kasi
lang,
kinuha niya.
ang dami kasing variables. So parang you need to play around with it to sort of get it right. Pero this is the most common actually. If you look at like mga research papers that do things like this, they use itong mga force-directed na algorithms.
Pero gusto ko yung circle pack. Gusto ko yun.
Yeah, yung parang for me, yung circle pack na yung pinakamadali. Yan, no? Yun na yun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, I suggest just use this.
Ang hirap pa naman. Minsan pinaghahalo ko eh. Minsan Force Atlas, tapos i-stop ko agad. Tapos expansion.
Pwede rin ganun. Pwede rin ganun.
Kino-combo.
This Yifan who usually it gives you a round visualization.
Yeah.
Try natin i-expand to. Medyo magulo. Yeah, so I suggest just use, for now, maybe just use
Circle pack.
yung circle pack. Mas madali. Kasi itong mga to parang kailangan mo pang i-figure out kung ano yung tamang metric, kung ano yung tamang values.
Yeah.
Yan. Anyway. Any other questions?
Carlo, ito na ba yung last agenda natin? Yung Crowdtangle?
I think so. Ayoko lang maging masyadong overwhelming kasi itong mga sessions natin. And then tomorrow, I'll explain lang how to do all of these different charts and how to build the slides. And then I think basically you would already have all of the, the information you need to create this kind of report.
Okay.
By tomorrow. Although, of course, you just let me know if you need any more guidance or clarity.
Okay. Carly, is it okay if I speak to you like after this? Quick lang naman, super quick. Thanks.
Any other questions before we close this?
Wala naman na for me. Carlo, pa-send na lang ng invite for Crowdtangle.
Sige. If you could put in the chat na lang yung mga gagawa ng bagong email, just put it in our Viber group, siguro yung email nyo, and then I'll invite you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll also send a link to the recording of the meeting.